Wrong park. In today's episode of Haunt Talk, we will be reviewing Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, Florida. We've done varying videos, I think, in the past, but these videos typically don't get too big of views. So I think we're going to talk about the scare zones, and we're just going to be ranking each. Well, not ranking. I guess we actually are giving a score, I think, to each house this year. But typically, I think we've just ranked them before.
Yes, we did like a top 10 and stuff like that. This time we just kind of did theme and scare.
Yep, and that'll be the first video of this week, and then we'll have 3 other more like Ohio, PA. Well, actually, all PA haunts. Yeah.
Yes.
3 other PA haunts after our review of Halloween Horror Nights. And also, if you're watching this and you're interested to go to Halloween Horror Nights, also make sure to check out our video where we gave some like tips from people that aren't locals. Hopefully you find that video helpful. But this one we're going to be talking about how much we liked each house and just kind of like our overall experience a little bit. Yeah. So I guess we'll go ahead and just kind of like get into the review, which means for the first time of the season, it is time to refer to the Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Alright, so if you're unfamiliar, there are 10 haunted houses, 5 scare zones, and Halloween Horror Nights. This year we did 2 nights. One night we did all 10 with Fast Pass, and then we, the second night we just did a couple and we focused more on like the food booths and stuff like that. So I think we'll just kind of touch on the scare zones a little bit at first. Yeah. Oh, wow, God, the names are escaping me a little bit, but there was Jungle of Doom. I think that's what it was called, was Jungle of Doom.
Jungle of Doom, Dark Zodiac.
Yep, there was like the entryway, which was Dr. Oddfellow something, something, something.
That's the actual name.
Yep, there was Vamp 69, and then it was like Shipyard something.
Yeah.
Yeah. The scare zones are pretty solid this year. I think the opening scare zone, there was a lot less than normal. Mm-hmm. We didn't get to spend too much time in it, but the whole theme of the scare zones was that Dr. Oddfellow, like, he was like, I guess, kind of like the unofficial icon this year, and like he was a little bit in each scare zone.
Yeah.
So like in the Jungle of Doom thing, it was like his story when he was younger, and he found, I didn't look too much into the backstory, or I don't remember it too much, but he found like the amulet that allowed him to like find it, become immortal. Mm-hmm. And there was like a little show scene that happened in that.
I guess if you, I saw this in another vlogger's video. I guess if you go into the scare zones in a certain order, you're actually going chronological, and you're going through his story of what he did. Yeah. So I think if you start in the Dark Zodiac, that's supposed to be like the 1920s, and then it moves on to like, the Jungle is supposed to be like the 30s or 40s. Mm-hmm. And then the Shipyard's supposed to be like 50s. Then, of course, Vamp is 60s. And then the front area is supposed to be like modern time.
Yeah, because that's when he's like, I think is his oldest and stuff. One thing we were disappointed is, like Dr. Oddfellow and Jack the Clown have a lot of like relations and stuff like that, because Jack the Clown worked for him, but there was no appearance of Jack the Clown outside of his picture on some merchandise.
Yes.
So I was surprised by that. I do like the scene that they're doing of like the scare zones are all connected somehow. Mm-hmm. They did this last year a bit too with the Pumpkin Lord.
Yeah, because there was like pumpkins going throughout the scare zones. Like you could see like the pumpkin vines and stuff like on buildings and on different things and stuff like that. Yeah,
so it's kind of cool that they themed it that way. Again, we didn't spend as much time in the scare zones. Like, Jungle of Doom was probably the prettiest scare zone. There's, like, they always have that section back there. There's, like, pumpkins in the trees and stuff like that. This time it was, like, bats, so there's, like, eyes in the trees. There's, like, a crashed plane. Really cool. I really like the creatures in the Dark Zodiac. They're, like, these alien things. They're, like, some kind of beings that he communed with in some way.
Right. And then there was, of course, like darker versions of the regular Zodiac too. So like for Scorpio, there was like this evil looking black scorpion woman thing, like creature, and like there was a few other different ones. Like I think there was one that was supposed to be like
a lot of stilt
Leo
walkers
and stuff like that. So it was like this like more like weird lion creature and stuff like that, which I really liked. I did like that one a lot.
Yeah, that was really cool. All the scare zones were pretty good. I don't know. The scare zones for Halloween Horror Nights are always, they're okay. It's just hard to get scared because it's so busy there all the time. And this year was insanely busy. And I don't want to talk about it much in the review, but if you are following anything for Halloween Horror Nights, because of the fact they have The Last of Us and Stranger Things there this year, the crowds are horrible. I'm just going to say that unless you're a local, in my opinion, it's not really worth it to go without an express pass or doing like an RIP tour, because unless you really like spacing out houses and you're doing this over 4 or 5 nights, like, good luck for you if you want to do. I mean, I guess you can do Stay and Scream. We didn't do Stay and Scream. Stay and Scream is annoying to me because, like, you're waiting like 3 hours in the sun just to skip the line of the house, but you're waiting outside in a Stay and Scream area just as long as you would be in the line.
Right.
So, like, sure, you get to go to the houses first, but you're also going to be waiting multiple hours to go get in line that then happens to be short.
Yeah.
So I would say just do Fast Pass. It's 100% worth it. We did get all 10 done with Fast Pass. A lot of complaints about that this year, but we didn't really have much issue with getting through things. We even had enough downtime to kind of take a break, and we showed up like an hour and a half late too. And we got done about an hour before close. So it's definitely completely do with Fast Pass. But yeah, Scare Zones are pretty cool, but like I said, I don't really think there's much reason to talk much about them. So we'll just kind of talk, and I think we kind of have the houses listed in pretty much the order we did them, I think, too.
Yeah.
So when you first enter the first haunted house, and each one we're reviewing, we're just doing like 2 scores for each one, theme and scare. We're not doing like our normal review system for all 10 of these haunted houses. But yeah, the first one was Blood Moon, and I guess it's kind of like, what was this one themed? It was more of like cult sacrifice kind of thing.
Yeah, it was basically like a Puritan village decided to start worshiping the moon. And they decided that they needed to sacrifice humans in order for the moon to be, satisfied, so they could have like good harvesting and stuff like that.
Yeah, this one I thought was one of our favorites, actually. Very beautiful, lots of good scares in this one. You're just walking through all these like towns, a lot of cool like town and shop facades that I remember. The one thing bad about Halloween Horror Nights is since there's 10 haunted houses, things do blend together and it can be hard to remember a lot. Yeah. I envy locals who can do like the Rush of Fear or like the Fear passes and just go like multiple times. But it's really hard as like a vacationer to like really remember specific when you're going through 10 haunted houses in a night. Like, it's a lot. But we really like the theme of this one, so we gave that an 8.5. And we got quite a few good jump scares, and we gave that an 8.
So moving on to the next one, which was The Exorcist Believer, which is a movie that doesn't even come out until October.
Yeah.
But they decided to do a house for it, for HHN. And the basic premise is that 2 girls go missing. When they find them, they are pretty much, possessed.
Yeah.
It's supposed to tie in with the original movies. In fact, the rumor is that Linda Blair is actually supposed to be in this one. I don't know how much she's going to be in it.
Right.
But she is supposed to be in this one. The house itself was actually pretty cool, because it kind of takes you into like it looks like the families were like on vacation, like in like Mexico or something
because
like
you start
that.
there, so I assume it's something similar to like the original where like the demon came back from somewhere, from another country or something with them. I really liked how much kinetic energy this house had. Like, there's like scenes, I'd say like midway towards the end where like the exorcism's being happen, and like there's wind blowing everywhere and all the curtains are moving. It really, like, I think that the added touch of all the wind effects and stuff really kind of added like this ethereal like spookiness to it. And we did get to do this one twice because it had a short line the second day. So we did this one again. Theme, we gave it a 7.5. There were some like repeating bedrooms, but I kind of liked, like, I know like one point there's like a bedroom, then you see the bedroom when it's like, it looks almost like a hell type world. Yeah. It's like a Silent Hill vibe where there's like normal world and like the scary hell world. Also a lot of scary demon men. Yes. A lot of scary demon men with horns in this one, like kind of everywhere. So we gave scare for this one 7.5. We got a decent amount of jump scares out of this one too. The first run we had was a lot better. Yes. For this one. Yeah. It's another thing that kind of sucks, and sometimes it's hard to grade these, is it's like, if you can only go through once, you might miss all the scares with the way Horror Nights houses are designed. So, yeah. So the next up is a big one, which was the Stranger Things Season 4 house.
Yes. Basically takes place in Season 4. There is a little bit of hints of some other seasons in there, too. But it basically focuses very much on Vecna, the big baddie from Season 4. And he's, like, all over the place. And a few other vloggers kept saying, we're getting Vecna'd, because he was, like, everywhere. Like, most of the scares was him coming around the corner, like, with trying to grab you and stuff like that.
With his big clawy hand.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I think the theming could have been a little bit better in this, like, going into the house, and was really cool. I thought the scene, like, the real famous scene with Eddie and them battling the bats on top of the camper or bus, whatever thing, I think it could have been a little bit better as like a projection screen. It was like okay, but like for the most part the scenes are really cool in here, and it really is just kind of like seeing like most of the pivotal scenes, I guess, from the show. So yeah, theme for this one, we give it a 8.5 because it was pretty impressive. And then scares 7, wasn't as scary as the other two, but yeah, the Vecna thing, like. And that actor would get really close with his long, like, claws and stuff. Was cool.
He usually, like, I had him at one point, he was, like, really close to my face. Like, I could almost feel the long fingers on him.
Yep. The next one we did was Dueling Dragons. Now, this is unfortunately, I never got to ride the ride, but as I'm sure you probably know, it was a ride that used to be in Islands of Adventure before Harry Potter World came. And then when Harry Potter World came, they rethemed Dueling Dragons to, like, something with Goblet of Fire. But this is themed to the original Dueling Dragons ride, and mainly the queue from there. This one definitely had a lot of really cool scenes, like the giant, like, enchanted willow tree thing you walk through. Really impressive scene where there's, like, a castle facade and the fire and ice dragons, like, breathing, like, fire. It's not actual fire, but it's smoke because it's indoors. That was cool. So this one is more elaborate than anything else.
It was very elaborate. And it was neat. And then you do actually get to choose your fate, because they do have that as a promo. They're like, choose your fate, and so you get to choose whether you want to go fire or ice. And we did ice.
Yes.
And
basically because everyone else was going to fire.
Yeah. So I'm assuming there was different endings for whatever side you picked.
Yeah, so how it works is it's similar to the Icons one, where, like, every night, or I don't know if it's for the whole night, but they decide which one's the winner. So you don't know which one. That's also, like, kind of a game people will play, is, like, they'll split up with their group to see who gets the winner. So one will be, like, holding the head of the other one, where the other one, I think, is getting murdered or something like that. There's always, like, a different winner each night if it's fire or ice. So that's kind of a cool touch. It's not much to it. It's a very short section at the end. But it's nice that there's kind of like a little shtick to it. But yeah, this one was definitely more pretty than scary. Gave it an 8 for theme and a 6 for scare. And from what I've heard from other people, that's pretty average, normal for this house. Is the scare isn't super heavy on this one.
So their next house was Yeti Campground Kills. Yep. They did have a Yeti one a few years ago. That we
Terror
loved.
of the Yukon.
Terror of the Yukon, and we loved it. We thought it was one of their better ones, and this one didn't disappoint too much. Again, it's basically Yetis attacking campground goers and stuff like that. And you do feel like you are, like, in a campground and everything.
The woods.
Yeah, the theming was very well done in here. Yeah. It was really cool.
Going in and out of, like, cabins. There's a really cool scene that they make it look like you're on a lake. That was cool.
Yeah.
I don't think there's water in there, but they make it look like water using some kind of something. The only bad thing with this one is I do believe this house probably has a fair amount of scares. So we did give theming an 8.5 because that was amazing. But we only gave scare a 5 because, and again, we only were able to go through this once. We got almost none of the scares. But some of the scares we did see looked cool. I think we also entered right after a cast change possibly. So I'm not sure. But we just didn't get, like, almost any scares in it, like, at all. So, again, it might be a really scary house for some people. But for us, we just really didn't get any of them. But the theme of this one was really awesome, though, for sure.
Yeah. So then moving on, and this one actually got a lot of flack. A lot of people didn't really like this one all that much, and we kind of disagree a little bit. But
a little bit. I understand. So it's Chucky.
Chucky.
Yeah. Now, because the theme we didn't rate high because it definitely is the worst theme.
Yeah.
Because everyone's saying that it felt really slapped together, and like kind of the theme of it was the fact that it was slapped together. That's kind of the theme, is that the theme was really weird. That Universal was making a Chucky house, but then the doll Chucky, so it's very meta, like was upset that Universal wasn't going to actually be killing people. When he found out it's all just fake, then he took over the haunted house while they were building it and started like murdering the build crew, and that's why the house looks like somewhat unfinished and stuff like that. But then, like, the kills are just kills that I think are from the TV show, which I haven't seen, but they show you some of it as you're waiting in queue line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like he has, like, his own, like, top 10 kills or something like that. And those are in there. And then different sections are, like, themed for, like, holidays and, like, different locations. And it was really weird. Yeah, it was really strange like that. But it was mostly, like, and I'm not spoiling much about it, but it was a lot of Chucky boxes, like the boxes that the good guy dolls come in.
Yeah.
There was a lot of those, just all over the place, just spread around. But scare-wise, we got quite a bit of scares in this house.
We did, and I almost wonder, because the reviews we watched were from opening weekend, I wonder if Universal almost like realized that the house is bad, so maybe they put more scare actors in there to make it more scary. Because, we got a lot of scares, but we gave theme a 6 and scare an 8.5, though, so we did get a lot of jump scares, but the theme was pretty meh.
All right, moving on, Dr. Oddfellows, who was the unofficial icon of the season, he had his own house. It was, what was it? It was like...
it's kind of like a circus thing.
Yeah, like a circus oddities kind of.
Yeah, because it's like a traveling like circus / oddity type of thing is what he's all about. This one's a little hard for me. I'm not remembering a ton. I remember there are some cool scenes. I remember there's the one big scene where you kind of like are in the circus tent and it's very open. Mm-hmm. There's like different stage performers doing things. I think that was a thing that happened.
Yeah. So like you would walk through like different rooms that had different performers doing things. Like there was a contortionist that was being shoved into a box. You know, way too small for them. And like different things. I think there was like a sword swallower and some other like trapeze and things like that. Your typical oddities and circus kind of folk. And then of course, Oddfellows was in there doing his thing, and he was on quite a few different stages and stuff like that too, doing stuff. Yeah.
So we liked it. Theme we gave an 8. Scare we gave a 7. I just don't remember enough about this house to talk about it in length. But we did like it, and most other people have really liked that one as well. That's some people's favorite I've seen. So the next one is another Universal original. It's The Darkest Steel. So this one's kind of like almost their take on The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Yeah.
It's a jazz musician who basically sold his soul to a demon. I don't know specifically the devil, but a demon to basically become famous. And I thought this one was really cool. Feels like you were in Nolans, you know. Mm-hmm. There's like the cool music playing throughout, and there's, you get to see the demon like actually take his soul in one scene. They have like a whole thing where like light leaves the guy's chest and enters the demon's hand. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, I think it had a really cool facade. I think this one did too.
Yeah, because it was like supposed to be like some rundown like roadside like jazz club, and so you like go into there and you see the guy make the deal and stuff like that. And it kind of progresses like the whole story about like he's not the only one that has done this, and like all the other people who have had their souls taken are there as well, and kind of are like the devil's minions and stuff like that. And so
is that what's happening?
Yeah, because I heard a few times people saying you're not the only one who made a deal and stuff like that. So we gave this one for a theme of a 7.5, and for scares a 6.5.
Yep. And then the next one is The Last of Us, and the scariest thing about this was the queue line. It was insane, though.
Oh my gosh.
But no, this one, if you're familiar with, now it's technically based off the video game, but the video game and the show are kind of interchangeable as far as like set progression and like set design and like that kind of thing goes. But it is specifically based off the video game, the Pittsburgh section, which is probably one of the scarier sections of that game. And you don't have to be familiar with this property to enjoy it. Basically, it's zombies. It's like a zombie theme haunt,
Yeah.
essentially. But the cool thing with The Last of Us is that the zombies are based biologically from plants. So they're like weird plant flower monsters. I'm sure you've seen them. If you haven't, what the hell? But this one is just really elaborate. A lot of really cool scenes. And one of the things is that the spores infect you. So there's a good portion of the house where they have, I think it's like little itty bitty micro bubbles in the air.
Yeah.
So it looks like there's the spores, and it looked actually really accurate to what it looks like in the game / show. That was really cool, and just the makeup was really good too.
Yeah, and I'm not really familiar with the video game at all, and I haven't really watched the show, and this was probably my favorite house just because it was so elaborate. There was just so much stuff to see.
Yeah.
There were projections, there was just so much stuff. It was so detailed orientated. It was just really fantastic.
Yeah, and the costuming, are so good, the actors, because they had because like in the game there's like different progressions. Since they're not just normal zombies, like when you get infected, you start off just being more of like a normal zombie where you're just kind of ravaged, but then eventually you turn to like these weird flower things, and then some people turn into these things called a bloater, and that was cool to see at the end, which is basically this giant monstrosity, and there's a guy in like this big huge like rubber outfit thing, and that was really cool. Yeah, just really impressive house. Good effort there. I'm glad that they did it justice, and a lot of people were like, this is redeeming from, I forget which one it was, but the last video game house they did, everyone kind of hated. I forget what it was. People like the Silent Hill one, but it might have been Resident Evil.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't they do a Resident Evil one
yeah,
a
it
few
might have
years
been
ago?
that. You commented down below if you know what it was, but yeah, people didn't like the last video game house they did very much, and this is the first video game house that I've got to attend at Halloween Horror Nights, but yeah, for theme, it's our highest theme. We gave it a 9.5, and scare, we gave it an 8. We got a decent amount of scares as well.
The last one was Universal Monsters Unmasked. And this one actually was focused on the Paris catacombs kind of area and Paris in general. So your monsters were a little bit different than normal. Like the last few years, it was like your big monsters, like Dracula, Frankenstein's monsters, things like that. This was actually little lesser known ones. We had Quasimodo, the Invisible Man, Phantom of the Opera, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
And so this one was really neat because you start out like going into the catacombs and the underground of Paris, and you meet the Phantom, and he starts doing all this stuff, and then you progress into like the next person, which I believe was it was Jekyll and Hyde, and then Invisible Man, and then Quasimodo, and then they all kind of just attack you all at once. Like there's like a whole area where it's just all of them just all over the place.
Yeah, the set design in this was really cool. I really liked the facade when you enter, because it's raining. There's always like one house where it's raining inside. And I just felt like this was one of the more elaborate ones. This one is probably second or third most elaborate, because there's The Last of Us, Blood Moon, and then this one were all like probably good, but this one just felt really beautiful, because especially like when you're going to like the play theater and there's like all the chandeliers and all of that was cool. They had some really cool stuff, the Invisible Man with like black light and stuff.
Yeah, that was really neat, because
it was like all that glowed was the bandages, so it looked like it was just the bandages and like an invisible body with gaps coming at you, so that was kind of a neat effect. Yeah, this one we also was the only other one we got to do twice. So we got to do this one and The Exorcist twice.
Yeah.
This one is really good, and I think we had a really good second run through as well. I feel like we got more scares the second run through.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one for theme we gave an 8.5, and for scare we gave an 8. That one was also really high on the list. I would say pretty much all the houses this year, I at least for the most part enjoyed. So Chucky was the weakest, but we got a lot of scares in that one though, so it made it fun. But yeah, if you went through that house and missed a lot of the scares, it'd be bad. I could see how you would hate it, because like compared to the other ones with like as far as like theming goes, not even close.
Yeah, no.
Not even close to any other ones for theming. Honestly, we might have rated it a little bit high at 6, but it's still the lowest we rated in theme. Like, but when you look at the theme we rated, I mean, what? The lowest one beside that is 7.5, The Darkest Deal, and even that one was really good. So yeah, this is a really good year for the houses, but yeah, just keep in mind if you're going, it's going to be insanely busy, as we mentioned earlier. And also one thing that kind of is really annoying is they're doing construction because they're making like a DreamWorks land.
Yeah.
So usually by ET you enter a couple houses, but for The Last of Us, which if you've been there before, it's in the same place The Weekend was last year. you have to walk really far to get to the Last of Us house. And the entrance is all the way back by Men in Black. And what's really annoying is they don't tell you this, but there's like 3 houses: The Last of Us, The Darkest Deal, and Oddfellows, all around Men in Black. If you happen to get back there and do Last of Us first, it's then going to put you all the way back up where E.T. is.
Yeah.
And now you have to walk back. So make sure if you go, you do The Last of Us last, because it really does make sense to just kind of do the park almost in order. So you start like by Rip Ride Rocket, do those. Don't start in LA, because then when you hit Last of Us, it's going to take you right back, like towards LA, and you have to go backwards.
Yeah, so we found out, thankfully, the way that we did it, because how we rated it is how we went through. So we went Oddfellows, Darkest Deal, Last of Us, Universal Monsters. Those all were like next to each other, and they all like their exits all led out right by each other.
Right, exactly.
So it's the best way to like go through. Yes. If you are going. So
and that time adds up. You know. But yeah, like I said, I was pretty happy with the event. They didn't do a Lagoon show this year, which was a little upsetting.
Yeah.
We didn't get to watch the Nightmare Fuel show this year. We liked it the last 2 years, but the only reason, to be honest, we watched the last 2 years because we did RIP the last 2, and they just kind of put you there. But I just didn't feel like waiting for the show, because it's a show and I just don't care. We did partake in some of like the food and drink options. We really like the drink from Surfer Boy Pizza. Also, if you're someone that does like, you know, drink alcohol, it is a way better value to get the Blinky Cup.
Yeah.
Because the Blinky Cup's $16, and it's a 20-ounce Blinky Cup. The normal drinks are 12 ounces, and they're $12.50. But you can refill the Blinky Cup for $12.50. So it's 8 more ounces of alcohol for the same price after you do that. And the best cheat code is, like, so the ones in the park, they're good, but they're not super strong in alcohol. If you take your Blinky Cup to the Dead Coconut Club, they're like actual mixed drinks handmade by a person, and they're pretty strong, and it's the same price, the $12.50, and then you get 20 ounces instead of the normal 12 that would be served there. So if you do like drinking at all, I think that it's a good value, and really like $12 for a theme park, like mixed drinks for 20 ounces is not bad.
Yeah.
A lot of the food was really good too.
Yeah.
Some highlights is we liked, I don't remember which booth it was from. It was towards the front, but it was that like it was like a grilled cheese brisket or something.
It was the Stellar Bar.
Yeah.
And it was a Stranger Things themed booth, and it was called Eddie's Club. Eddie's Hellfire Club was the best sandwich I've ever had. Like, it was so
it wasn't the best sandwich ever, but it was really good.
it was pretty damn good.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, and it was huge because we each had
we shared
half.
it. Yeah, and it was
And
basically our dinner.
full.
We had a couple other things after that, smaller things, but the raviolis are really good at the Last of Us booth. The chicharrones, if you're into that. I wasn't the biggest fan, but people love those things. The walking tacos, the vegan walking tacos were good.
Tacos were really good.
And then, of course, you got your classics pizza fries, which I always forget how weirdly good pizza fries are for just crinkle-cut fries that have pepperoni and marinara and sausage on it. But something about them, it's like they cook those fries, and then they put them in a broiler. Like, they toast them, so they just get so crunchy and amazing. I don't know why they're so good. I haven't had pizza fries since probably like 2019. And I'm like, man, I forgot how good these are. But yeah, overall, we had a lot of fun at the event. You know, did you go? Let us know. And again, we have 3 more reviews coming up this week, which is going to be 100 Acre, Rich's Fright Farm, and we went back to Freddy's Haunt. It's been the first time we've been there for a while. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and ringing that bell.
Gotta get him, pumpkin.
So you're not missing any future upcoming videos. Thank you very much.
Bye.